The judge this year was Brian Turner, and it was interesting actually going through commended list and the runners up to see how much conflict and war were reflected in the choices that Brian Turner, an army veteran, chose. It is interesting to see actually the different tastes judges exhibit from year to year, and even with different tastes, still manage to choose brilliant poems from brilliant poets. The poems were judged anonymously. Brian didn't even know the gender of the person who won this year. There's a strange irony, sort of irony that can only be connected with Cork, actually. The winner is a young man called Shangyang Fang. I'll tell you a little bit more about him in a minute. But Shangyang Fang studies in the Michener Center in Austin, Texas. And so while he's here accepting the prize that Brian Turner decided he should get, Brian Turner, whom he's never met, was in Austin, Texas, lecturing to Shangyang Fang's actual MA in creative writing class this very weekend. Only in connection with Cork could strange ironies and juxtapositions like that happen. Shangyang Fang, you may guess from the name, is a young man of Chinese nationality, born in Chengdu. He emigrated to the States to complete his last 2 years of high school. Secretly, at least secretly from his parents anyway, he'd been writing poems all the time in Chinese at home. And when he arrived in the United States, his literary ambitions did not cease, and he began to write in English. And when he finished high school, he applied to a whole load of writing programs and wasn't accepted. I guess his English wasn't quite developed enough at that point. But his story then starts to resemble the story of another Chinese writer who's emigrated and settled in the United States and who writes in English, Ian Lee, who went to the United States to gain a degree in immunology and just happened to decide to do that degree in immunology in the University of Iowa, university with the most renowned writing program in the United States. So she started to attend some of the writing classes there and ended up switching her disciplines and earned 2 MFAs in Iowa, one in memoir, one in poetry. So Shangyang Fang, much to his parents' delight, was accepted for a course that would lead to an engineering degree, and happened to find himself in a university studying engineering, where the renowned poet Richard Peggy Kelly taught creative writing, and he had the amazing good fortune to be taken under her wing and become her protege. And a number of people could have the luck to become Richard Peggy Kelly's protege, but not with the talent and natural genius that Shangyang Fang obviously has. He's going to read 2 poems from Southward, the winning poem and another poem that's commended in the same competition. And he's also going to read other poems. So please welcome Shangyang Fang.
I was thinking while making love, this is beautiful. This fine craftsmanship of his skin, the texture of wintry river. I pinched him 3 inches off his coccyx so that he knew I was still here, still in an argument with Fan Huan's ink wash painting, when an old man, a white-gowned literatus, dissolved into the landscape as a plastic bag into cloud. The man walks on mountains. No, he walks on rivers. The man moves among shapes. He travels through colors. The mountains are an addendum to his silvergrass sandals, Wrong, his embroidered sleeves are streak lines of trees. None could persuade the other as my fingers counted his cervical spine, 7 vertebrae that held up a minute heaven in my hand. But it isn't important. It is not, I said. It is just a man made of brushstrokes moving in a crowd of brushstrokes. The man walks inside himself. The string quartet of the tap water streamed into a vase. My arms coursed around his waist. We didn't buy any flowers for the vase. It's okay. The sunlight would soon fabricate a bouquet of gladiolas. To walk on a mountain for so long, he must desire nothing. Nothing must be a difficult desire. Like the smell of lemon, of cut pear, its wounds, its snow. The man must be tired. He might be lonely. It must be. The coastline of his spine, the alpine of his cheekbone. Here was where we stopped, this periphery of skin, this cold, palpable remoteness I held. The dispute persisted. Are you tired? I'm okay. That means you're tired. You're bitter, whatever you say. If my hands departed from his skin, the heavens would collapse. The limit remained, even though we had used the same soap, same shampoo. We scented like the singularity of one cherry bloom. The vase stayed empty. The sky started to rain. My toothbrush leaned against his. The man must be lonely, I said. No, the mountain is never lonely. Burying my forehead inside his shoulder blades, the mountain is making itself a man. That was Thank you. That was the poem Argument of Situations. I would like to take this chance to thank Patrick, James, and the Munster Literature Center. I'm deeply honored to be here. When Patrick called me, it was 9 a.m. in Austin, and I had insomnia the night before. I slept at 6 a.m. So he called me and said, "You want a prize?" I said, "Thank you." And I fell asleep immediately after I hung up the phone. I woke up at noon and I told my roommate, "Oh, I just had a dream of winning a poetry prize." and he didn't think I was crazy because I'm crazy all the time. But it was not until this moment, standing here, the dream becomes reality. And while reading in front of all these poets whose work I deeply admire, it is just the beginning of another dream. Being island for the first time as a traveler, I love it here. And as well as the feeling of being out of place, being in another place. In exile, outcast, the feeling that all poets feel. The next 2 poems are about something like that. Red. By the firewood door I halt and watch a monk under plum boughs sweeping flitting shreds of red. The way this wintry shrine sweeps all its forgotten travelers into a tremor of wilting color. Very nervous. If you talk about sadness, fugue. 1. Paul Celan wasn't necessarily the saddest person chronologically. Traco could have been sadder, though his sadness was personal. The personal is unbearable. 2. I returned to China in the summer and found summer doesn't belong there. 3. The loneliest music is Brahms' first piano concerto. My friend said, it's like drinking a bowl of Chinese herbs in the dark. 4. Schubert is non-existence. 5. Traco wrote, your body is a hyacinth, and Celan drank milk when the night came. 6. This morning, a boy in Syria, 5 years old, was rescued from the dust. He wiped his head and saw the blood, didn't cry. In front of the television, people wiped their faces, drying with tears. They didn't bleed. 7. In June, I bought a book of Silver Age poets. Akhmatova was the moon of Russian poetry. Pushkin, the sun. 8. A girl again in Syria cried and raised her hands to surrender when a journalist took a photo of her. She thought the camera was a gun. 9. I cried when I listened to Brahms. The dead became retoned. 10. In August, my aunt drove 2 hours to my town, begged me not to be a poet. She read the poetry under my pillow and found out Akhmatova's son was arrested, Gumilyov killed, Steva went mad, everyone else exiled. 11. My aunt said, we're still in a communist country. I told her, I'm already exiled by my family. 12. The moon remembers. She witnesses in dark. I ask her to explain how we have forgotten to start with forgiveness. 13. For that boy, the war never ends. He shall not be lonely. He shall repeat that motion of wiping, of digging his mother out of dust, out of war memory, brushing her hair stained with blood. He doesn't remember his mother's name. He kisses her face. 14. Schubert had the body of a hyacinth. He wrote it so fast. Traco added, the last gold of an expiring star. 15. Celine's mother died in the war. He wrote poems for her. He wrote It's Falling Mother. Snows of snow falls in the Ukraine. Ukraine is the name of a place. His mother's name is Mother. 16. I stopped writing poems as my aunt had pleaded. I took the book back. 17. I closed my eyes and touched the book as if blind to feel how cold each word is on the page, how sharp, like shattered glass. I'm afraid no one can keep it from falling apart. 18. The personal is unbearable. Someday the moon will fall apart from her memories. All night she stared at the fleeting water, then left. Nothing remained except the calm stare of the ceaseless water. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. The time doesn't like me, urging me to go down immediately. I have a few more poems. Training. A psychologist told me we can train our dreams. I practice each night, recite my father's name. And he's a dog, running in and out of a blanket of grass, and I, the loosened chain, stained with the sweat of his neck. The next poem, as all of you might have expected, is a penis poem. As all poems eventually are penis poems. It's easy to say that in an age especially that everything is everything, you know what I mean?
Sometimes the penis is just a penis.
Yes. I wrote it, this my most recent poem. It's still a draft. I wrote it right before I came to Ireland, and I decided to give it a try. Satyr's Flute. I was skinning a goat's penis to prepare the dish my mother had taught me. This was not in a dream, though with a dream's deliciousness, the knife a stroke of blueness, tapering the bleeding thing into a sheer bruise. One must always be careful with penises. One must marinate it in a pool of oyster sauce with starch, sprinkle ginger juice to cleanse its urinating smell of fish, as phallic as Rimbaud may have said. Let the residue of semen ferment with blood and the blueness into an evening sky like this, when the penis starts weeping ceaselessly. Softly at first, like a newborn, then louder, until the kitchen turns into a train station from which the goat was brought to the nearest butchery. The penis cries like a baby. Like a baby, it cries for its wanting. Without the mind, the penis is innocent. The penis wants its goat back, the way that a child wants his mother's milk. And the goat, what would it be without its penis? And is it anyway a goat, half male? Will it go crazy looking at the moon? Will it serve the goat king like a eunuch in a primeval dynasty? Or it will follow the rancid smell of dead fish, past the meadow, past the booming woods, to reach the land-black river and watch the rootless water flow. Watch the silver needles of fish sowing the stream and wish one of them was his genital. The penis in my hand is thick and emblematic, something I cannot fully fathom. A device without the service of its mind. How does that work? How, in heaven's name, can a mind bear to lose a part of its form and stomach the loss as a thought? The thought of a penis, being nothing otherwise, is not a penis. How my mother once saw me with a boy, how she said no, the N preceding the choir of O is like a castration that severed me from her. Oh, am I anyway the penis my mother had once lost? I rushed back to my room, stayed a whole afternoon in front of the mirror and thought I am not beautiful. Thought she was right. No, I cannot love this boy in front of me and wished he had not been born. As I wash the goat's penis beneath the faucet, how it throbs in my palms. I can see how the goat, disturbed by his forbidden thought, staggers toward the lamp-black river, mates with whatever nymphs of water, Hermes, into Hermaphroditus, whose lilac-encased body, androgynous and gorgeous, once drowned and rose among the breasts of water. And I see the meadow outside the kitchen is purple, an infecting pool of nutrient tincture. The penis inside my enveloped hand is old and tired, like a fetus curling back to an anonymous uterus. This doesn't have a title yet. To be awake is to find oneself raw as a bowl of lilies, waking up in the mirror. This is the last poem I'm going to read. As again, you have expected, it's in Chinese. Well, in fact, all of my poems I just read were in Chinese, and it's a wonder nobody lives here yet. I'm very interested in the musicality of languages. So in this poem, I try to weave the musicality of English and Chinese together, and hoping it's working. It's about sound, called onomatopoeia. Honglong is the sound of thunder. Didi-dada is the rain stitching a bell jar or the clock remembering its days as a clepsydra. Putong is the sound of an old man stumbling, and ha-ha-ha is the laughter that chases after. Ling-ling-lang is the water sword whacking the Huangdang-chang-chang jade pendant of cold rocks. Sa-sa-sa-sa is the west wind, and pu-pu-su-su is the falling leaves that xiao-xiao-pian-pian with an autumn moon. In fact, su-su is the sound of all soft things falling. The tears, su-su on the face. The snow, su-su. The begonia, su-su on the mahogany bone of a folding fan. Su-su, the brushstroke paints the rice paper into a landscape of black mountains. Ling-ling-tung-tung, the river flows at where the inked mountain is not depicted. Flow in the uncharted whiteness. The bold strings cao-cao like blizzard, the fine strings tia-tia like murmur, the melody of a damsel playing pipa on the orchid boat back in the Tang Dynasty, which we still hear through Bai Juyi's poetry. If the river could speak, would the mountain understand its utterance? The sound of a frog is gua gua gua, which is annoying. If you cannot stand the gua gua gua, please put the frog into a boiler. The hard part, try not to mourn for the frog. The sound of the autumn moon is 寻寻觅觅冷冷清清凄凄惨惨戚戚, which is also the 点点滴滴 sorrow of Li Qingzhao. Because to mourn for the frog, one must speak in the language of frog, which is to gua gua gua. Yi ya ya is a girl singing with yin yin mo mo lips of red beans. Piao piao ran ran is her furbelow, yi fei fei among the willows and catkins. Shi wei is the evanescent light of a lantern wrong. Shi wei is the swan's dawn evening, a girl calling her beloved, why don't you come back? Come back. In truth, Shi wei is Wang Wei writing a poem to the shadow of his leaving friend, who promised to come back with a sprig of magnolia to light up the yard. His poem has the sound of clouds spread low on the moving water. The lamplight threads a dim song across the voice of trees that can only be heard by insects and birds. 关关节节，拥拥盈盈，嗷嗷凄凄，肃肃立立 are the sounds of birds. 轰轰摇摇，会会啼啼，啾啾了了 are the sounds of insects. Pilipala is the firecrackers bumping into the air. Jiligulu is mouse stealing oil falling from the chair. Yo yo, the deer sings. Xiao xiao, the horse chases the wind. Xi li li, the knuckles of rain knocking windows of departed train. Zhiliao is the cicada calling its name. Zhiliao, zhiliao. Bugu is the cuckoo calling itself. Bugu, cuckoo, cuckoo, bugu. For us, the petals fall with no sound. For the fire ants, the petals hit the ground with a sound as loud as the thunder, which is honolulu. But what is the ant's onomatopoeia for the thunder and falling flowers? What is the petal's onomatopoeia for the wind that brings forth its own falling? Still, we keep hearing the hiss of white, yellow, and blue petals scattered in the bowl bitten by the ant's bitter teeth. Shilili, 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 the rain. Honolulu, 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 the thunder. Thank you.